Welcome to G.H.O.S.T TV and 91.9 Public Affairs. I'm Micah Terrell. Halloween is just around the corner, and here with me to explain how to have more treats rather than tricks is Sandra Brandon with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. Sandra, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now let's start first with the date of Halloween. It's a little different this year. We have Halloween falling on a Monday rather than the weekend. So how do you think that's going to affect people's plans?
Well, I know the kids and parents probably really want it to fall on a Friday or Saturday, but with it being on a Monday and being a school night, you'll probably see kids out a little bit earlier in the night, hitting the doors, and you might not see as many, and people may take advantage of some of the events that are going on the weekend before.
Exactly, and that brings us to G.H.O.S.T here at Austin P, where we have on Sunday, we have from 4 to 7, people can come by to Fortera Stadium and enjoy that, so that's a great idea too.
Yeah, and there's other events that are going on, like a lot of churches, of course, will have like a trunk or treat, so just kind of look around on the internet and come to Austin P.
Exactly.
Take advantage of those events.
Now let's talk about costumes. How can people have safe costumes and still have fun?
I think one of the biggest things is just parents, please just look at the costume before your kids walk out the door. If you notice that it's too long and they're tripping on it, or if you see that they're wearing maybe a mask and it's going to impair their vision, be cognizant of those things and take advantage and fix those things. So, hem up the costume if you need to. Make sure you don't have a mask where it's obstructing their vision. Maybe use face paint instead. So just be aware of safety.
And reflective tape is a good idea too,
yes,
right?
Yes, let's not forget that. So yeah, reflective tape as much as you can put on. And then they sell glow sticks relatively inexpensively at like dollar stores. You could take glow sticks and have them wear those also.
Good ideas, yeah. Now what about walking safely in the neighborhood? I know some neighborhoods have sidewalks and some don't, so what should parents and kids keep in mind?
Well, the neighborhoods that do have sidewalks, please take advantage of those sidewalks. And then if you don't, always, walk as closely to the end of the road as you possibly can, facing traffic. Walk in groups. Walk in that reflective tape. Don't take up the whole road, single file. And just practice safety, road safety when you're out there walking. And parents, it's really important because, kids can get rambunctious and get excited about getting to the next door. So parents, just always be aware of where your children are and how they're walking. And don't get on your cell phones. I know people nowadays, our faces are in those cell phones, so please stay off your cell phones while your kids are trick-or-treating and pay attention to what's going on.
That's really good advice, because yeah, just like any other time when we're driving, just gotta make sure to pay attention and not be distracted.
Yes,
definitely.
Exactly.
Now that brings me to driving safely too. Obviously, people might be driving into these neighborhoods or driving around. What should they keep in mind too?
Well, first of all, keep in mind that trick-or-treat, since it is falling on a Monday, please be aware of all the activities that are going on throughout the whole weekend that lead up to Monday. And then especially on Monday, while you're out driving, from 4 o'clock on until a little after dark actually, and be aware that there may be kids in your neighborhood walking and going from door to door, so please slow down, stay off your phone, keep your eyes on the road, and look for children that may be out trick-or-treating.
Now, once we've gathered up all our treats and everything, what are some good things to keep in mind too once we have those? You not just probably want to throw them in your mouth right away, right?
Well, as a good parent, you want to go through the bag and just make sure all the candy is in its wrapper, hasn't been opened, isn't old. Just make sure it's safe and it's something that you feel comfortable with your children eating.
Right, and I read too that probably it's not so good to have, some people like to make homemade treats. That's probably not a good idea, right?
Yeah, Granny loves to make those homemade treats.
Yeah.
But yeah, as someone who's giving out candy in the home, be aware that most parents do not want to receive that, and they just prefer the prepackaged candy. And as a parent, once you go through your bags for your kids, take out anything that you think is questionable at all. Don't risk it. Just go ahead and throw it out.
Right, and we don't want those treats to get to our pets, because I know chocolate's not good for dogs,
no.
right? So what are some good things to keep in mind about pets and Halloween too?
Well, pets, whenever you change the environment, they can get a little skittish. And I know at Halloween, we put up a lot of decorations, a lot of flashing lights, a lot of sounds. Those are things that may frighten, your pets. Also, with someone coming in and constantly ringing the doorbell, that may be something that'll frighten a pet. So, put your pet in a different room, put them aside, put them somewhere where they won't feel endangered or threatened. And then also just be aware that when you have, visitors coming to your door, knocking on your door, you don't want the dogs to be running out and running into the street or getting away. So for your safety, for the pet safety, and for the children's safety, put them in a secure area.
Definitely want to do that. Now, what about what the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office is doing? I know you guys are really busy at Halloween. What are just
We
some of the
do.
things that you're doing? Obviously, probably more increased patrols and other things. Can you kind of tell us what you're working
Yes,
on?
I know for our office and of course CPD also, we're aware of the date and the kids are going to be out, so we do increase patrol, especially around that time of year. We have a sex offender registry that we monitor here in the county, so we make sure that there's nothing that's going to compromise the safety of our children when it comes to that registry. So we're out there doing extra patrol, making sure that trick-or-treaters and parents are safe.
Right, and sex offenders, they can't have, any decorations or anything,
No,
right?
they can't attract anything they can't put up anything that'll attract kids. So they are aware of those rules, and we're out there to make sure that those rules are followed.
And of course, I know Halloween, there are lots of parties, and some people might be tempted to have a little drink or a beer or whatever.
Yeah.
What do those people need to keep in mind?
Designated driver, call Uber, call a cab. Don't risk that. Don't risk your life. Don't risk your financial well-being, and don't risk anybody else's life. And just practice safe partying. Designated driver, or if you can spend the night at where you're at, do that. But just do things that are smart, basically.
Right. And I wanted to ask you this when we were talking about going from, neighborhood to neighborhood. Obviously, it's probably a good idea for parents to make sure they're with their kids and that kids just don't go out by themselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. Go with your children. We really encourage you to go with your children because you never know what dangers they may face. You never know what they may run into. And as a parent, you can be there to help protect them and call for help. Call 911 if you need that to happen. So just be careful. If for some reason you are unable to make it with your kids, make sure that they're going with another adult who is responsible, that you feel comfortable with, and make sure that person is going to be watching them the whole time. But again, if possible, please go with your kids when they're trick-or-treating. Regardless of their age, go with your kids.
Right, all good tips, Sandra. Anything that I didn't mention that you wanted to make sure folks got?
There's been a lot of social media coverage about clowns, and with Halloween coming, we are aware in law enforcement that there may be an increased clown presence. A lot of the stuff you've seen on social media has been hoaxes, and we are aware of that. There have been a couple incidents across the country, just a few, where it's not been a hoax and someone was hurt from a clown. So in Montgomery County, we are very fortunate in the sense that we have not had any of these incidents. Nothing has been reported. However, with Halloween, one of the reasons we really encourage parents to go is that if you see something suspicious, if you sense there is any type of danger whatsoever, or something seems out of place, please don't hesitate to call 911. Don't think, oh, well, maybe I'm being paranoid. No, we want you to be safe. And if you ever feel like that has been compromised, your safety has been compromised in any way, please call 911 and let us know.
Now, what about encouraging or not encouraging people? Because I did a little reading before we met to talk, that like even a few Goodwills and some other places, not in Tennessee, of course, but other states, they're actually pulling the clown costumes and kind of encouraging people, hey, don't dress up as a clown. Are you okay with people dressing up as clowns, and is that all right? And
well, as long as your costume is not going to incite a riot of any kind, you're fine. Just be safe. But also, again, be aware that for some reason through social media there has been a heightened awareness about clowns and a fear that has been associated with clowns. So we don't want any harm to occur to anyone that has dressed up in a clown costume. And on the flip side of that, if anybody who is dressed up in a clown costume is doing something that's going to harm someone else, we don't want that to happen either. So again, just be aware that this is something that is in the news lately. Again, a lot of it are hoaxes, and we're having to weed through what's real and what's not. There have been a couple of isolated incidents across the country where it has been real. In Montgomery County, fortunately, we have not had any incidences. But just be aware. Go out with your kids again, be safe, and if you see anything suspicious, call 911. It's
good to be armed with the right information,
yes.
Right? Not misinformation. Good. Sandra, thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Let's kind of recap just in case anybody's just tuning in to join us. So safe costumes, reflective tape. The face paint probably is a little better than a mask,
yes,
right?
Yes. And also, just be safe when you're out trick-or-treating. Parents, go with your kids. Children, be aware of your surroundings. If you're giving away candy, make sure the lights are on at the house. You've got a clear path for the kids to walk. And as far as sex offenders, you can go to our website. There's a link on the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office website that will take you to that list, and you can search the database to see if there's any sex offenders in your area or where you're going trick-or-treating.
That's good to mention too, because just in case you happen to find one in your neighborhood and they do have their lights on and they're acting like they're going to hand out candy, what should they do?
Call 911.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Good to know. And then, of course, pets, you want to make sure you keep them safe and out of the way
Yes.
and everything. Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. And we want to remind everyone, too, of course, like we mentioned at the very beginning, that there's G.H.O.S.T here at Austin P on the 30th, which is a Sunday from 4 to 7. It's a great alternative to, going out in the neighborhood, or in addition to, because there's going to be free candy and lots of good stuff.
You never can have too much candy.
That's right. Great. Sandra, thank you so
Thank
much for stopping
you.
by.
Thank you for
And
having me.
You're welcome. And this is Micah Terrell for G.H.O.S.T TV and 91.9 Public Affairs.